For many anglers, especially newer anglers, the process of just going out to the lake to try to catch a few bass can seem like an overcomplicated, mystifying mess. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are a few simple steps that I follow each and every time I head out to the water, and it greatly increases not just the chance of me catching fish, but how quickly I find myself on fish. We're going to talk all about it, so stick around. Got him. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And one of the most frequent types of comments that I get is, "Hey Lowbrow, I just can't catch any fish. I'm confused and nothing I seem to do works." And that's understandable, especially for newer anglers. There's so much information out there. It's like information overload. Just on YouTube alone, there are so many different videos about catching bass. Is this the best lure for the month, or is this the best lure? Is this the technique that works, or is that the technique that works? Sometimes they conflict. Sometimes they overlap. How do you know which way is up? Well, I have a 3-step system that I use that streamlines the process and gets rid of all the noise. If you're having a hard time just knowing what to throw, what to use, where and when, well, this is going to help you out quite a lot, and it's definitely going to put you on fish much quicker. But before we get started, if you like what I'm doing here, click that subscribe button down below. We'd love to have you as a member of this community. While you're down there, give this video a like. It really does help the channel grow, and I very much appreciate it. And if you have a minute, head on over to patreon.com and check out my members page. It's where I post videos that I don't post here, and they concern behind the scenes footage, talking about my boat, or whatever. I really think you're going to like the more personal atmosphere. But the 3-step process, right? That's what we want to focus on. And it's super, super simple. If you're an avid angler trying to go out and catch fish, then this is going to be very important to you. If you're just going out there with the grandkids trying to have some fun, well, you know, maybe you're not as serious into fishing, but still, there is some value here. The first step is be prepared. I know it sounds lame. It sounds like something everybody always says, but truthfully, it is very paramount that the very first thing that you do whenever you head out to the water, you form a battle plan, you figure out what it is you want to do, and you study. I've said it 1,000 times. The night before you head out to a fishery, especially when you've never been on before, do your homework, right? Google Earth, Active Captain. Get those maps that you can download for free. All you have to do is make an account, which costs nothing. Google Earth has so many good tools. Not only are you looking at the lake that you're fishing, but you can use the rollback feature on the timestamp to look at it through the years to see different levels, how it responds to different changes. And when that water's drawn down, maybe you'll see some pieces of structure and cover that are along the beach, along the shore that you wouldn't ordinarily see. So that gives you tools that you never even thought about. It gives you an idea of how and why to attack the lake the way that you do. So that's part of being prepared. Know the weather, not just what the temperature is going to be, but what the sky conditions, the wind conditions, those types of things. And not just for the day you're going fishing, but for the previous week. That helps out so much because the day that you're fishing is only the result of what's going on now. Those bass are going to respond to what happened over about the previous 3 or 4 days, whether a front came through, whether the wind was blowing out of the south and then suddenly switched to blowing out of the west. Those types of things matter. And the more you study that, the better prepared you're going to be and the easier it's going to be to form a battle plan, to have a strategy, to attack the water column in 3 different phases, top, medium, and bottom, right? And we're going to get to that more in detail because a lot of that is part number 2. Keep things simple. We all get lure-itis. You hear all these lure videos, right? This is the best lure. That's the best lure. You have to be throwing this lure now. And I am not the biggest fan of that. I much prefer to talk about techniques. Techniques for topwater, techniques for the middle of the water column, and techniques for bottom bouncing. And keeping things simple is all about that. Technically, you only need 3 types of techniques. Technique for top water, technique for middle of the water column, and technique for bottom bouncing. And you can vary that strategy, but rather than having 10,000 lures and all these rods carried around with you and a whole bunch of tackle, you can pare things down and keep things simple. You've already got a battle plan. You're already prepared. We did that in step 1. In step 2, you're taking that information and you're figuring out what lures you want to work for the top, the middle, and the bottom. So you're keeping things simple. Remember, lures do not catch you fish. I can't stress that enough. Lures don't catch fish. Technique catches fish. The right technique will always work over any selected lure because bass respond to how we work our presentations more than anything else. You can get a reaction bite or you can work a slow finesse type presentation and still get bites. So understanding you really only need 3 types of presentations for top water, for the middle, and for the bottom, that can pare things down very much and help you keep things so simple. It's what works for me, right? Then we've got part 3. And this is probably the most important part of the entire deal. And that is make adjustments. So we're prepared. We're keeping things simple. We don't have 1,000 lures tied on. And we're able to make adjustments as we fish during the day. And part of that is move. I talk to these anglers all the time who sit in one spot and they make cast after cast after cast after cast all day long from one spot. There is a pier, a couple of piers at the big lake at the main boat ramp, and I'll see a guy standing on the end of that pier and he'll be out there for hours just casting, not catching anything. And the funny part about it is the bank all the way around that same area that goes all the way around, probably 2 miles worth of bank is clear and easily accessible. And there are laydowns and different pockets of structure all along that are being completely ignored simply because you think you can reach the deeper water if you stand on that pier and cast out to where they keep it dredged out for the boat traffic. You might catch 1 or 2 fish doing that on your fishery by standing in one spot, but for the most part, you are going to get nothing but frustrated. Move. Keep those feet moving. Keep that boat drifting. Now, myself, I try to stay off of the trolling motor as much as I can and allow the boat to drift down, which is, again, part of being prepared. I know which way the wind is blowing, and I know how to set my boat up just so it drifts down, and I can fish the area that I want to very stealthily, which allows me to make adjustments. A little deeper dive in crank. I may switch back to the stomachache crank. We will see. Ooh, there we go. First cast. I'll be danged. And that's not a bad one either. And there's three others with him. Yep, that's going to be the ticket. All right. Look at that. Oh, nope. Oops, and he came off and bounced into my shirt. I'll be right with you, buddy. And it was 3 others with him. Oh, come on. Let go of my shirt. Dude's over there flopping around and I'm got... There we go. Boy, that's kind of silly, isn't it? All right, you come here. A little north of 1.25 pounds. Nice bass. Nice bass. We found him pretty quick. On that ugly bandit crankbait once again. There you go, buddy. All right, there he goes. Let's do that again. I'm working a topwater frog, and I really don't see that I'm getting the attention that I want. I'll be getting follows, right? I'll have 3 or 4 bass following it in, maybe one tapping it. I need to make an adjustment because something isn't quite right. But I keep it simple. Again, I'm not making a drastic adjustment. I might change the type of frog that I'm using, or might even change to a topwater popper if I'm able to. Again, I'm making a small, minor tweak. And that's all you have to do. If you're just totally unprepared for the situation, you think it's going to be a bluebird sky and calm water, but you get out there, clouds roll in, the wind blows up, and everything changes, then you can make a huge adjustment and rethink, right? But for the most part, small, minor adjustments, little tweaks as the day goes on. And that's what I find myself doing more and more. You know, in a couple of videos ago, I talked about how the bass in the big lake are being really, really finicky right now. They're really tepid and they're really shy. They've been biting just the tip of the worm whenever I'm doing a Texas rig or doing a wacky rig or something like that, a finesse presentation. They're just playing with it. They nibble and they nibble. It almost feels like a bluegill or something small pecking at it, but it's usually pretty good sized bass. And a lot of times I will have bass following my lure in. If I'm working a crankbait in deeper water, I will bring that bait towards the boat and I can see 2 or 3 bass following it in. They're looking at it, but they're not striking it. That is information. I need to make an adjustment. And a lot of times when I make that adjustment, and it can be just as small as a color change or a type of lure change, you know, along the same lines, I go to a different type of crankbait that maybe makes it a little bit different type of sound, but I'm doing basically the same thing in the same area of the water column. And that often leads to really huge strikes. So it doesn't have to be a huge mystifying mess. If you keep things simple, if you pare things down and you stay within that system, don't get outside of it. Because we can get frustrated, and what's the first thing we do? We start getting lure-itis, and we change lures and change lures and change lures and change lures. And that's when you get frustrated. And it's, you know, you're commenting to me, Lowbrow, I've tried every lure that I have. And my response always is going to be the same thing. Did you try moving? Did you go to a different part of the water? Because a lot of times there's not any fish there, right? What am I going to say? What do I always say? There's only ever 2 reasons why you're not getting bites. There's not any fish in the water that you're fishing, or the fish that are there are not interested in what you are throwing. Those are the only 2 reasons. Moon phases are not going to keep you from getting bites. Barometric pressure are not going to keep you from getting bites. Whether it's a bluebird sky is not going to keep you from getting bites. All of those things, you can still get bites if you know how to make adjustments. It's that simple. So, the 3 steps: be prepared, keep things simple, and make adjustments. You do those 3 things, and I'm telling you, you'll not only find bass quicker, but you'll find bass more consistently every single time you head out to the water. So there you have it, a 3-step system that I use each and every time I head out to the lake. When I started doing that, not only was I catching more fish sooner, but the quality of the fish went up. Try it out. I'm telling you, it will help you catch more fish and make things so much easier. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.